Thank you, Boston Higashi Jazz Band and Yoshino Stanbrook Jazz Band Director. Wonderful. We're going to hear again from the jazz band later in the program. We're going to allow them to file out now. Welcome to New England's largest celebration of 50 years of excellence in special education. I'm Elizabeth Becker. I'm the Executive Director of MAAPS, and on behalf of the MAAPS Board of Directors, it's my honor to welcome you all here today. MAAPS is the trade association representing over 160 programs throughout New England that are approved, Massachusetts-approved special education schools. Welcome to all the MAAPS members, all of which are here today. These schools provide exceptional education to exceptional students. I should know, I was one of them. Today we celebrate 50 years of IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the landmark federal law based off of Massachusetts' groundbreaking Chapter 766 law, which some of you helped to shape. And we are here in Senator Ted Kennedy's Institute, and we wanted to be in this fitting location as Senator Kennedy fought for and brought us this landmark law. He transformed the federal landscape, and he believed that education for students was their right, and it was a nonpartisan issue. Today, we call upon Congress to reaffirm our commitment to IDEA. We remain grateful to our New England delegation and their unwavering support for this law. At this moment in time, it is more important than ever to support IDEA. Laws don't happen without lawmakers, so a huge welcome to our elected officials representing hundreds and thousands, in some cases millions, of constituents. We are honored to have Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll is with us here today. I really want to acknowledge our kind of amazing field of elected officials, so bear with me. Senator John Keenan, Senator Jamie Eldridge, Leader Alice Peisch, Chair Jay Livingstone, Representative Rob Consalvo, Representative Michelle Badger, Representative Carmen Gentile, Representative Patrick Kearney, Representative Vanna Howard, Councilor James Diuti, Representative Beal, staff from Senator Markey's office, Elizabeth Matos and Liza Hirsch from the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. And I'm sure I've missed somebody and somebody will pass me a card, which I'll appreciate. I want to also acknowledge those who could not be with us today. We had a number of members of Congress who were really excited to join all of you here in person. Maybe you saw something in the news. They've been called down to DC. Small deal. It all happened to happen today. But we really want to thank especially our IDEA Leadership Award recipients, Congresswoman Catherine Clark, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Markey, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, Senator Whitehouse of Rhode Island, and Congressman Richie Neal. If you didn't get a chance, I really encourage you to look at the videos they sent in their place. They say it so well, why they support IDEA and why we all must use our voices, one voice at a time, and make sure that this law remains in place and additional funding goes forward. We also have many members of the state administration here today. We work with the state in partnership every day. So I'm so thrilled. We have Health and Human Services, Executive Office of Education, DESE, EEC, OSD, DDS, DMH, DCF, the Child Advocate, Undersecretary of HHS Mary McGowan, the longest serving Secretary of Health and Human Services, former Secretary Mary Lou Sutters. So many of our partners are here: Jackie Brown, Janelle Roberts, Dan Shark, Eugenia, Faith, Heidi, Regina, Jamie. Thank you all so much. It's also an honor to have some special guests, a personal hero of mine, Colette DeVito, founder of Colette's Cookies, and her mother, Rosemary Alfredo. Wonderful to have them here. And of course, so many friends of MAAPS and the association, Janine, Jeff, John, Joe. IDEA doesn't happen without students. So welcome to our students. We have so many students here. We have students and their family members. We have our school leaders, public and private, advocates and change makers. All of the success of the last 50 years is because of their hard work. We're here because of the MAAPS Board of Directors and MAAPS members and our fantastic working group who put this whole event together. Of course, we don't get to celebrate in this amazing EMK venue with gourmet caterers without our sponsors. So thank you to our gold sponsor, Melmark, celebrating 50 years of excellence in New England, and our silver sponsor, Cardinal Cushing, opened in 1949, initially with funding from none other than the Kennedy family. Thank you to those sponsors. Also to St. Anne's Home, celebrating 100 years, Leonard Mulhern Green, Emergis Educational Staffing, Arbor Associates, Riverside Community Care, Brandon, Nazareth, and Willie Ross School for the Deaf. I owe a special debt of gratitude to the MAAPS team, Amanda Kane and Susie Vanseth, and our newest member, Brett Hoffman. If you haven't looked through the halls here, they basically created a pop-up museum of 50 years of excellence in special education, and it's really wonderful to see. It's amazing that it all started here in Massachusetts. A little bit of housekeeping. You're going to hear from me kind of throughout. If you need to get up, please remember this is a Senate replica, so look for the exit signs on the doors. There's no food and drink in this chamber. Students, if you need a break, Studio C is available to you. This event is live streamed, so hello to our friends watching. ASL interpretation is brought to you today from the Learning Center for the Deaf and CCC BSD. Thank you to our interpreters. So at this time, Perkins School for the Blind is going to come in and they're going to play a number. We're about to hear from our esteemed speakers. So I'll welcome them in, and it will give them a sec while they come in and set up. I'll tell you a personal story. So come on in. We're excited to hear from them. I will share with you that IDEA is personal to me. I'm in the generation that was born after this law was passed and after Chapter 766 was passed, so we really stood on the shoulders of those who came before us. Because of this law and the ecosystem of education Massachusetts had created across the continuum, I was able to attend a MAAPS member school as a child. I was able to access the education I needed as an individual to thrive. It wasn't an easy road. The work that people do here transforms lives. And because of the expertise of my special education school, because of the support of my family and my parents, because of icons like Ted Kennedy, today I am proud to say that I'm one of the millions of people across the country who is an I in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. On behalf of the MAAPS Board of Directors and the MAAPS members, welcome to this celebration. We're going to hear now from Perkins School for the Blind Choir, and thank you to their choral director, Arnie Harris.
We're going to say this again, Hello, my name is Jacob Goldus. I'm going to college school. My favorite thing about college school is play basketball. I'm honored to introduce you to Governor Kim Whistle.
Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure to be with you. And thank you, Jacob, for that wonderful introduction. I told him I like basketball, too. I should say, no, it's not afternoon yet. I'm right, it's morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with all of you today to celebrate really what's landmark legislation, the 50th anniversary of IDEA. Such a special opportunity to highlight what a difference maker it's been. What passed in Congress 50 years ago continues to lead to transformative outcomes for students across the country, including right here in Massachusetts. And I'm proud to say that Massachusetts led the way. We adopted Chapter 766 well before IDEA, and that was really the national standard. Yeah. I think folks in this room know that we've always been nationwide leaders in education, and I'm so grateful to serve alongside so many legislators who help ensure that we turn policy into real action when it comes to passing budgets and appropriating laws and giving direction to ensuring that Massachusetts has the best schools in the country. Thank you to all the state legislators who are here, who we partner with every day. Special recognition to Leader Alice Peisch, who long time served as the education chair, and very much for me is the conscious of our education policy in the state. So congratulations, Alice, for your good work and your recognition here. So we are ranked #1 for public education, the state with the highest number of college graduates per capita, the #1 state for innovation. That doesn't happen by accident. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs recognized Massachusetts with the highest rating a state can receive for the 7th consecutive year. It's clear that education is one of our many calling cards, and we're incredibly proud of our leadership in this area. But IDEA changed the game 50 years ago. Think about it. Prior to that law, we had exclusionary practices. Not everyone was enabled or allowed or to be their best selves, to be educated in what we considered to be a traditional setting at that time. This law helps to ensure that all students have a chance to learn, to be their best selves, to reach the highest potential. It challenged those of us as adults to think about how we can deliver education from different models, to meet students where they are, to achieve their highest and best outcomes. It opened the door for more equitable and more specialized programs, and it made it so that all students have the potential to grow and learn. I had the good fortune to be a young mayor, or a new mayor. Yeah, I guess I was young and new, maybe, who served in Salem alongside our state senator, who at the time was Fred Berry. Some of you may know Senator Fred Berry, an individual who served for many years. He had cerebral palsy as a child, and I vividly recall him telling me stories about the special school that he was supposed to go to as a child. It was really more of an institution. And it was his mother at the time who stood up and said, no, my son's going to get an education just like everybody else. You might have to do some things differently, but he's more than capable of achieving success. I think of that often, and especially at times like now, where we're challenged by budgets and there's so much divisiveness in the ranks. We're really proud to be a state that supports education in all its forms. Through inspired leadership like those of Fred Berry, who's no longer with us, but certainly made his way forward in this Commonwealth with helping shape state policies. And it's why, as an administration, we've continued to invest in programs that further learning and committed to providing high-quality educational services to support students with disabilities, ensuring we find multiple pathways for success. The budget we're currently in included the highest ever funding for special education circuit breaker programs in districts to allow for those specialized programs and out-of-district placements, and all of the work that you are doing in educational settings across this Commonwealth, ensuring our students with disabilities have the best experiences and the best opportunities for growth and success. At a time when there's a lot of noise coming out of Washington, that's probably the most diplomatic way I can say it, I want to be clear about what we stand for here in Massachusetts. We know that diversity is our strength, that educational equality is attainable, and that a quality education is non-negotiable. We want that for all of our students. So we're going to continue to invest in education because we know that that is really the doorway for a brighter future for all of us. All of you in this room, especially our educators, our families, our program directors, and our amazing students, you help not only enrich our schools, you strengthen our communities, and you provide inspiration for the next generation that is going to be better than the one before them. We're all curious learners, all trying to find a pathway. You help show that every single day. I want to thank Elizabeth and MAAPS for everything you do to support high-quality special needs programming in Massachusetts. Thank you for making sure voices aren't missed, opportunities aren't just taken for granted, and that we're able to support students in places across Massachusetts in different settings in attaining their best educational outcomes every single day of every year. Thank you and congratulations.
Hello, my name is Jade Verb, and I'm a student at St. Anne's Home in School in Methuen, Massachusetts. I'm very happy to be here and proud to introduce Assistant Majority Leader Alice Peisch to share her remarks.
Thank you very much, Jade, for that nice introduction. I would like to just start by saying how happy I am and honored to be here with you this morning. I will say that you will hear, I think, a theme carry from the Lieutenant Governor's remarks through mine. We are all here today to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. As has already been mentioned, that act was preceded by Chapter 766 in Massachusetts. So we have a long and strong history of supporting special education in Massachusetts. And it did change public education, as has already been mentioned. It affirmed that every student, including those with disabilities, deserve access to free and appropriate public education with the supports they need to thrive. That commitment reshaped our schools and our understanding of educational equity. It was also, I was reminded yesterday when I ran into a friend in the supermarket that this is not just some theoretical goal, but it actually makes an enormous difference to real people and real students. This friend of mine mentioned that her daughter, who is now probably late 20s, and was the recipient of not just special education supports from the district, but also was a student at a MAAPS school. She now lives a totally independent life, fully employed, the type of social life that people of that age enjoy regardless. And so I think it is important to understand that this is not just about statistics and data and advocacy at the state and federal level. It's about the impact on real people, real families, real students. And to think that there was a time when individuals who were more than capable of leading independent and productive lives were shuttled off to some institution and not allowed to engage in the kinds of lives that we all now take for granted is really something that I think it's unheard of, but it was not that long ago. So I think it is important to remember that so that we never slide back to those days. I'd also like to acknowledge all of the work that MAAPS was done, which was founded to carry forward the mission of Chapter 766 and IDEA, to ensure that students with special needs receive the highest quality education and the individualized supports they deserve. Today's gathering is more than a celebration. It's a reaffirmation, a reminder of our shared responsibility to stand with families, the educators, and most importantly, the students whose rights and opportunities are at stake. The Massachusetts legislature recently acted to ensure that here in Massachusetts, those services are not at risk when we included language in our recent budget reaffirming Massachusetts' commitment to this so that regardless of what happens at the federal level, our students will continue to be served well. Together, we will make sure every child receives the education and support they deserve. We must never lose sight of our belief that every child can achieve great things when given the opportunity to succeed. And I would be remiss if I did not also acknowledge the hard work of the educators who staff the MAAPS schools and who provide additional services in our district schools. I have visited many of the MAAPS schools, and I have seen how hard the teachers, the paraprofessionals, the administrators, and all the other support staff work to ensure that all of our students receive the supports and the education that they deserve so that they can lead, as I said earlier, happy, fulfilled, and productive lives. So I thank you all for coming this morning. I thank MAAPS for putting this on, and I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to ensure that the work in this area continues. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Victor. Speaker. Senator.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here and to bring you the greetings of the Massachusetts State Senate. My name is John Keenan, and I serve as State Senator in Norfolk and Plymouth District. I tell you, it's really nice to be here, and I'm willing to bet more good things are happening in this Senate chamber than down in Washington. And what a joy it is. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the history of the what's become known as the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, and particularly here, Chapter 766. I started in school, in the Quincy Public Schools, at Wallaston School, in about 1970, before either one of these pieces of legislation was passed. And at Wallaston School, I remember there being some students in my kindergarten class who were at times taken out of the class, perhaps with some special instruction. One of them was named Peter. Peter lived about 3 blocks from me. Peter was in my kindergarten class, and then he was in first grade, if I recall, and into second grade. And then Peter went to a different school. So that would have been sometime around 1972, 73, perhaps even 1974. And I remember that there would be some kids in our classes that would be sent out occasionally to other places outside of Quincy, but we really weren't sure where. But as I went through elementary school, I also recall that there were some students who just struggled. And oftentimes they ended up in the back row of the classroom. The teachers worked really hard to make sure that they got the attention that they needed, to make sure that they were included, but they struggled. And at times they were disruptive. And they went through elementary school just going through, basically. Sometimes they'd be in our school, but sometimes it'd be in other classrooms within the school. They just couldn't keep up academically. And looking back now, I realize that perhaps they needed something different. Perhaps they needed something more tailored to their needs. The same went for junior high school, which would have been back in the mid-1970s. Junior high school for me back then was grades 7, 8, and 9. Some students struggled in class, and again, they were disruptive. The teachers, again, did the best that they could. And there were some teachers who did a really good job of taking the students under their wings, so to speak, giving them the extra attention that they needed. But when I was in junior high school, I recall that, again, that there were some students that were in separate classrooms at certain times of the day, but otherwise would be engaging in the regular classrooms. And back then, I knew there were students with significant disabilities, cognitive disabilities, physical, learning disabilities, and others. And those students, even though I saw them out in the neighborhood, in the community, we didn't see them in school. So I'm assuming that they went then to some of the MAAPS schools. In high school, the change was quite noticeable. It was in high school that students with disabilities were more incorporated into the learning environment. They had classrooms on the first floor, but they otherwise would eat in the cafeteria. They helped run the school store. They helped manage the athletic teams. They were out and about. But again, I remember that there were some kids that did not go to the high school who needed more than what the high school could provide. But thinking back, none of us really knew where those schools were or what those schools did. Peter, who I mentioned earlier, is one of those students who, after early elementary school, I assume, as I say, went to one of those schools. My senior year in high school, I guess, is when I think students became more aware of the idea of bringing students into classrooms, being more inclusive, making them part of the learning environment. My junior year in high school, I served as vice president of the student council, and I observed that even though we had students in our special education classes, they weren't represented on the student council. In senior year, as student council president, we went to the administration, thinking there'd be some pushback, but nonetheless asked, can we have students from those classes on the student council? Things had changed. The principal didn't hesitate. Absolutely. So they held an election. 2 students were elected, Billy and Paul. They became valued members of the student council. Billy I had known for many years because he had actually been a manager on my junior farm baseball team. They both came to the meetings, they participated, and I remember Paul in particular, whenever I would put something to a vote, he would raise his hands, point at me, and say, "You're out of order." And that was a regular occurrence during the city council. Unfortunately, as is all too common, was all too common, and still is, Billy died at a very young age. But going back to Paul, to this day, some 40 years later, if I'm walking in a parade or I'm at some sort of an event, and Paul, who now is a custodian in the Quincy Public Schools, doing a great job, as I'm walking in a parade, I will hear, "Hey, you're out of order," and we'll have a good laugh. I mention the above because I guess I have grown up alongside Chapter 766. Serving in the legislature, I have seen the real impact of the law. As Representative Peisch had said, we visited so many schools, meeting the students, the educators, and the parents. That has been personally, for me and I think for every legislator, a great, tremendous gift. What we are doing with Chapter 766 is consistent with what John Adams envisioned when he wrote our state constitution. I have a particular affinity for John Adams because I come from the city of Quincy, and his birthplace, where he wrote the draft of the Constitution, is just a short distance from my house. What we're doing is consistent with what he envisioned and what John Hancock and others felt was necessary to preserve our republic. If you go back and read the McDuffie case, it's a fabulous history of education and the right to education here in the Commonwealth. And it talks about what different governors have said and legislators have said over all the years and how our laws have progressed. And in there, I can tell you what we're doing with Chapter 766 is every bit consistent with what they envisioned. What we're doing with Chapter 766 is giving our students opportunity, we're giving them hope, and we're paving paths to better futures for all our children. What we are doing is the right thing to do. Joe Sullivan, a friend of mine who was mayor of Braintree, part of the district that I represent, recalled that when he was elected mayor, he ran into Mayor Tom Menino. And Mayor Menino gave him a little bit of advice. He said, if you're looking to know what's on people's minds, don't go to a bar because people are just going to yell at you. Go to a coffee shop and have a real conversation. And he told Mayor Sullivan that there are going to be days when you're going to feel down, when everything seems to be difficult. And he said, on those days, go to the schools and see the children. Tom Menino was right, and more so even about our Chapter 766 schools. As I said, I've visited many of them. They are incredible places. They are warm, they're welcoming, they have remarkable administrators and teachers and leaders, and needless to say, the students are just plain awesome. I have seen students on short notice prepare and deliver their remarks to legislators and do an incredible job. I have seen them adeptly use assistive technology. And I remember one day in particular, the students demonstrating that. And I was thinking in my mind, how does all that really work as I'm watching it? And I just thought it was really incredible. And I'm wondering, how real is, the process of getting what's in their mind out through that device into us? And I had no doubt about a half hour later as I was leaving, one of the students who had shown me the technology was going by in the wheelchair, stopped, and gave me the biggest, warmest smile you could ever imagine. What we're doing in these schools is truly remarkable. The students have proudly given their tours. We've listened to them play their instruments. And like back when I was in high school, when we had representatives for the first time on our student council, at the State House a few years back, we noticed that there weren't students from the Chapter 766 schools participating in Student Government Day. Granite Academy, which is not really in my district, it's in Weymouth, but it's right on the line, and I've developed a special relationship with them over the years. They elected somebody to go to Student Government Day at the State House. And when that student stepped forward in the well of the House of Representatives, got to the rostrum, and gave a speech, you realized that when given opportunity, young people just rise. It was a very, very moving moment. Without these schools, we would be back to the days of young kids being homebound, like the kids that I would sometimes see outside of school, but never really see them in school. We would be back to the days where some kids would never be given the opportunity to fulfill their potential. We must do whatever we can to ensure that federal and state laws protect the right to access these educational programs, that the federal government meets its financial obligation, and that the Commonwealth continue to do what it can to ensure that all students have an education that meets their needs and gives them the best opportunity to thrive. And we must always remember that the students at our Chapter 766 schools are not those students. They are our students. And quoting John Adams from his dissertation on canon and feudal law in 1765, where he expressed many of his thoughts that would ultimately become enshrined in the state constitution, he wrote, "Let us tenderly and kindly cherish, therefore, the means of knowledge." Our challenge in these difficult times is to ensure that we indeed tenderly and kindly cherish the means of knowledge for all our children. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are going to hear from a student speaker, Rebecca Yell, and as Rebecca makes her way up here, I want to acknowledge all the students that have joined us today. Students have had a number of different roles here, the greeters, announcers. So we have students from White Oak School, New England Center for Children, Learning Prep School, LPS, Cotting School, League School for Autism, St. Anne's Home, the Learning Center for the Deaf, PCD Anderson School, Crystal Springs, Children's Center for Communication, Beverly School for the Deaf, Crossroads Continuum, Dr. Franklin Perkins at RFK Community Alliance, Merrimack Heights Academy, and the Campus School at Boston College. We are honored that Rebecca and her father Peter are here today, and her classroom teacher, Faith Ferrucci. Thank you, Becca.
Hello, name is Becca. I am 20 years old. I go to school at the Christian School for Children, the Philip School, Deaf. CCBST. I work on bucket practice. I love dance class, art, theater, fashion show. I graduation is my AAC first. My first is lyrics. God IDEA. I have lyrics, powers, then I feel proud of myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Next, we're going to hear from a parent, and I will say every parent knows it takes a team, it takes a village, so I just want to take a quick moment to thank the team and village that put together today's event. O'Neill and Associates, Smith, Costello and Crawford, Dot Joyce Consulting, Hickey and Associates, Conventures, ASAP Media, Stapleton Florists, and our photographer, AK Photography. That's the village that put on this event. Lila Pugioni is going to give us a little bit more about her village.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Lila Pugioni, she pronounced it very well, and I am the proud parent of 4 wonderful children, one of them being my 7-year-old son, Logan. Logan is an extraordinary child. He is curious, joyful, determined, and works so hard every day to grow and learn. Logan has a complex medical and developmental needs that require a highly specialized educational environment for him to learn and communicate effectively and safely. Logan attends the campus school at Boston College, which is part of the network of schools represented by MAAPS. These schools play an essential role in our state as they serve students' needs that cannot be met in a traditional public school setting, providing specialized therapeutic supports, communication systems, adaptive learning environments, and medical supports that children like Logan rely on to grow and learn. Because of IDEA, Logan has the right to an education that meets his unique needs, not a system that asks him to fit in, but one that adapts itself to him and to all children with disabilities. That right is not abstract, it is not theoretical, it is the reason that Logan is learning. It is the reason he is included in a community where he is seen for his potential and not for what he can't do. The educators, therapists, and staff who work with him do not see limits. Instead, they see possibility. They push him to his fullest potential while supporting him with compassion and skill. Their work is specialized and critical to children who require these services. At the campus school, Logan is learning to communicate in ways that honor who he is. He uses his vocal cues, his body movements, facial expressions, and most recently has been working with an AAC device. With this device, he has let us know his needs, his preferences, and has certainly exploded with his personality. To witness your child find their voice, however that voice expresses itself, is something you never forget. And that education is everything. That is dignity, and that is access. But for these rights to be meaningful, they must be supported. That means full funding. That means assuring that specialized schools have the staffing, the training, and resources necessary to complete this deeply skilled work. It means recognizing the value of these programs not as optional alternatives, but as essential components of a truly inclusive educational system. IDEA has given families like ours access to a proper education where every child has the right to learn, to communicate, to connect, and thrive. They deserve environments where they are understood and believed in. This access to specialized schools and programs is not something extra. It is not a special privilege, it is a civil right, and it is a moral responsibility that we must continue to make accessible for all. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your commitment to upholding IDEA and for recognizing the vital role that MAAPS schools play in our communities, and for ensuring that children with disabilities are given the opportunity to grow into the fullest expressions of who they are. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josephine Sestola. I'm 16 years old and go to White Oak School in Westfield. At this time, I would like to ask the Students' Art Award winners to the front. Now I would like to introduce Beth McGonigal, Director of Development and Communications at New England's Center for Children. and Rita Kincaid, Senior Director of Advancement at Cotting School.
Thank you, Joe. Rita and I are here this morning on behalf of the IDEA 50th Anniversary Working Group to announce the winners of the Student Art Competition. Students of all ages and abilities from MAAPS member schools were invited to submit an original art piece on the following theme: I am the I in IDEA. IDEA recognizes that education is an individual endeavor and that special education is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. At MAAPS, we recognize that our students represent a variety of cultures, perspectives, gifts, and needs that make each individual unique. Submissions were asked to reflect the students' individuality and promote the spirit of mutual respect that is present in our MAAPS community. Media could include, but was not limited to, drawing, painting, collage, sculpture, photography, or other accessible forms that best suit each student's talents and strengths. Students were also asked to express, in their own words as appropriate, how the piece reflects their individuality. We received dozens of entries from across our member schools, all of which were displayed on the walls in the lobby during the reception and can be viewed again following today's program. Entries were judged on creativity, representation of the theme, and overall impact. We had a very hard time deciding on just one. After several rounds of review and debate, the working group decided to recognize these 4 outstanding artists. The winners of the IDEA Student Art Contest are Oliver Charist, age 10, from the Dr. Franklin Perkins School at RFK Community Alliance. Devion Kopf, age 15, from the Merrimack Heights Academy. Lola Cole, age 12, also from Merrimack Heights Academy. And Logan DeBrocke, age 18, from the Cotting School. Congratulations to all our distinguished student artists.
Hello, I am Sam from Learning Prep School, and I was here to announce Richard Neal, but he was not here due to going back to Washington for Congress to do the government shutdown. But we thank him for his leadership, and I am here to announce Elizabeth Beck back to the podium.
I'm back, but it's for the last time. 50 years is worthy of a celebration. 50 years of Massachusetts leading the country in its special education programming across the continuum. But today is about more than a celebration. Today is also a call to action. We ask that you please go to MAAPS.org, log on to the Action Network, add your voice to the many voices, millions of voices, calling for Congress to continue to support IDEA. We have a growing population of students in special education nationally and locally, and a need for a growing workforce. This is in-person, meaningful, mission-driven employment. Thank you to all of our educators who are in the room today, and you've heard from every speaker how crucial you are. Through proper funding, Congress can help incentivize employment opportunities so that students, like all of those you have seen here today, can continue to thrive. Thank you to our elected officials, members of the state administration, honored guests, our approved special education schools, most especially our students and families for joining us here today. It's our honor to celebrate all of you. Next, we're going to ask that you join us in the lobby. The Boston Higashi Jazz Band will be playing a number of numbers. And they, as you saw in the beginning, they're really fantastic, so please don't miss this chance to see them in the lobby. That will close out our programming. Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate this incredibly important law and the work that all of you do. Thank you. So to the lobby. Follow me to the lobby.